Good morning. Yes, it is. It's Friday. And for all you business owners, it's payday. Welcome to the shop. All right, so I'm running a little bit late. I got about 10 after 5. What I thought I would do today is continue a little bit more on, you know, training your customers because Randy had a good question that they had about, how many units a day does each mechanic should they do and I did some looking into the liability stuff yesterday afternoon. I thought I would bring you up to speed on some of that. I'm no lawyer, so I'm just what I was reading. And then lastly, how are you keeping your customers' information safe? So let's start off with keeping customers' information safe. Now, you have an obligation, and I mean an obligation to your customers, that their private information is not getting out. And I'm not saying, you or your shop buddies or employees, or I'm talking somewhere, somehow, most of you have got a computer set up. Most of you are taking down the information and running it through a computer type program. Whether it be QuickBooks or if you're a Polaris dealer, there's a Polaris program. I mean, you have all these programs. And then collecting and saving customers' credit card numbers. See, that's one thing that I have never adopted since day one. And that is keeping credit card numbers for customers on hand. Whether it's in a system, or written down somewhere. I don't believe in it. Yes, it makes it easier when a customer just says, go ahead and pay the bill. But my biggest fear was always somebody getting a hold of that information and ruining somebody. You got identity theft, you got credit card fraud, and the guys that are doing this are not stupid. They are smart. And they've figured out ways to access systems, whether it's under an email attachment or it's a website that you went to, or the list goes on and on. One of the ways that I do it is I have two systems set up here. I've got the one that I use online, I do the videos on and stuff like that. And then I've got the system sitting here next to me that all I have to do is just turn. See if I can show you. Here, this and this with a separate box. That is, sorry about that. That's not connected to the internet. Why is that? Because that's what I keep all my customers' information on. And that's the one that I do all the billing on. And if I were going to save credit card numbers, which I don't, I would save it on that one that isn't hooked into the system that can be accessed, by someone doing, nefarious things. But over the years, with me telling customers, look, I value your information that much that, if you want to give me a credit card over the phone, go ahead. I'll run it, and then I'm going to shred it, and you'll have to give it to me again. And to this day, I have not had one customer upset with me because of it, because I asked them again what their credit card number was. They actually were impressed that I was that concerned about their data and their information. See, now if you take and accept credit cards online, that's one of the things that you have to do. Is I use authorize.net, and they're a main merchant service, and we have to keep everything up to date, and we have to check off check boxes, saying, do we keep people's information in a secure location? This system over here is passworded. The only one that has this password for this is me and my daughter, which doesn't work here, but she can access this if she needed to get in. But she's also listed as president of the company of EEDs Incorporated, so it's a parent company over this, so she got access to that. But she physically has to come here to get access to it. And I can't ever see a reason for her to want to gain access to it unless something happens to me where I get sick or I can't do something, and then she'd have to come down and get it unlocked so she could do billing. So what are you guys doing when it comes to protecting your customers' information and stuff? Gotta tell you, it's getting worse. Every day goes by, I was just watching last night on the news that AI now with hackers, if you're sitting on a Zoom call and you type in your password, that computer AI is 95% correct on what the password is. So you guys on Zoom calls, you might want to change up how you tap each key. Even tapping the mat a couple times sounds like the keys being hit. That's one thing that they're going to have to rein in a little bit until they can get some kind of bumpers on it so that everybody knows what's fair and what's not fair as far as what AI is going to be introduced into this community. All right, and we'll go to what Randy had asked, and that is, how many units in an 8-hour shift should a mechanic have to do? Well, Randy, I've had guys that I worked with and that have worked for me work harder at not working than they would have if they would have just done the job. I have also worked with and had them work for me that look busy but never accomplish anything. So when I worked up to the mines, they had 7 mechanics underground, 2,500 shop level. Of those 7 mechanics, see, now I was a driller, I was out in the heading, but I was in and out of the shop quite a bit. But there were 2 of them that busted their ass, and the other 5 stood back and looked busy, but never accomplished diddly squat. And if something broke down in a heading outside of that shop, because when we're talking shop underground, it was huge, and it was well lit up, and it was all screen pinned, everything. It was no different than working on a surface shop, except for you were 2,500 feet under the ground. But these 2 poor souls busted their ass, and the shop kept getting behind. And the shop foreman never pushed the other 5 to step up their game. And I overheard the shop foreman tell these mechanics, now if the big bosses come down, and you better be looking busy because I'm not going to take crap for you not doing work. It doesn't take a rocket scientist with a mechanic. If they go down with a new, because we used to get uniforms, you could rent or whatever, they come in, give you 7 units for the week, and then they would take your other 7 and wash them back and forth. But if you had a mechanic go down in the morning and had a clean set of clothes on, and then at 4 o'clock go up on the skip to the surface and still have a clean pair of clothes on, that should tell you everything. I don't know of any mechanic that does any kind of work that doesn't get some dirt on them. They're going to get dirty. Whereas the other two, they'd have a clean set of clothes on in the morning, and they would come up with hydraulic fluid on them, dirt laying in the headings, grease all over their face, you know. And had I been the owner of that business, I probably would have cut 5, kept 2, and looked for 2 more of that style. So yeah, the last thing you want is a mechanic that is just taking up space. And it's not fair to you, and it's not fair to your customer. And it's not fair to your mechanics either. Really. The big deal is if you're a shop owner, you have to have everybody doing their job correctly so the money is coming in so you can pay them. Money doesn't grow on trees. Sorry. It's from your customers paying for that service or the parts or what have you. And for a lot of business owners, money is constantly going out, and if they haven't got the right people in place to just do the job, then they'll start going backwards. Because pretty quick, you're going to find out you have more money going out than you have coming in. Now, as far as service work goes, where they're just in for an oil change, fuel filter, oil filter, spark plugs, air filter, battery check, see the charging system, hit the blades, clean the deck, that doesn't take very long. And that's on a rider. If you're doing a push mower, that's a heck of a lot faster. The only thing with us, with our push mowers that take a little longer, is getting the oil out of them. Because we bought one of those suction things, and it sucks the oil out of the lawnmower. If I'm in a hurry, I'll just tip it up and dump it. So a regular service, no matter what they're servicing, you should be able to hit, and a mechanic should be able to get that out within half hour, 45 minutes. Half hour, 45 minutes. Most repairs that come into my shop, over 80% are fuel related. Water in the fuel. Old fuel. So, as we've talked about it in other videos, you want to check for compression, spark, and air and fuel. And if they're all present, that will run. So if you have good compression and you have spark and you can't get it to start, good chances are it's your fuel. Dump your fuel. And I've almost made it a policy now. Anything comes in, get rid of the fuel. Empty it out, siphon it out, I don't care. Get it out of that unit, put it in fresh, and see if that makes a difference. Instead of doing all this other stuff and then an hour and a half later saying, well, that didn't work, let me try something else. No, empty the fuel. Dump the fuel out, empty the fuel bowl, and put fresh fuel in it. If that thing starts and runs, That's a paid job. You're going to save the customer some money. You're going to bring money into the shop, and that's going to help pay your payroll at the end of the week. See, because if you don't have the money coming in from those mechanics, you don't have the money to pay payroll. And then next thing you know, you're going to be taking money out of your savings account, your own personal savings account, keep the business afloat. And a lot of times those guys that are working for you could care less about that. But hold their check back or tell them that they're only going to get half their pay this week because only half the work went out. And then listen. It's tough being a shop owner, I know. You can't be buddy old pals all the time. You have to be the boss. And the boss is making sure that the money's coming in to cover the money going out. The other stuff. You're going to have units that come in and you got to have parts that are either back order or you got to order. You should have enough room in that shop to maneuver them around. Even if you set them sideways. We have 2 bays. And bay number 1, we can put 8, 9 machines sideways in there. Around 5 if you went end to end. In bay 2, we can do probably around 3 end to end or 5 or 6 side to side. And because we have the tire machine and the furnace in front of that. But there's no reason if you don't have the room. If it's on a riding lawnmower and you're waiting for coils, throw the hood back on it, slide it back outside. And then get the other one in and while you're waiting for parts for the other one. But if you're not a shop owner and you're a mechanic or you're being employed by somebody, you have to understand that you're there to do a job. You're not there to take up space. And if you're not doing your job, then the receipts aren't going to come in. And if you're tacking on extra hours onto a customer, let's say it's a job that normally would take half an hour, but you dicked around with it and now it took an hour and a half to 2 hours. And you want your boss to bill the customer for 2 hours when in reality it was only a half-hour job, but you went over and played with your toolbox and looked at this, looked at that, checked your phone. I'm old school. If I have a job to do, I get the job done. And I'm the type of person when I was employed that I would get the job done and I would look for other things that needed to be done instead of just sitting around like twiddling my fingers around my phone. So if your boss gets onto you a little bit, understand that they're under the gun too, especially if they are your boss and they own the business. It's brutal out there right now for shop owners, for small business. And if you don't do your part, I guarantee it won't be that much longer and he'll be folding up and then you'll be looking for another job somewhere else. Whereas if you dug your heels in and became a team player and knocked that stuff out so that the money could be coming into the shop. Alright, so lastly is the liability thing that we talked about with some of these people that are on YouTube doing things. Excuse me. And what I found out was technically we all have our First Amendment right, which is, freedom of expression, speech, so forth. And basically, the only way someone could be held liable would be if somebody was indirectly hurt, that had no knowledge of, and the only thing I could think of is let's say I posted on YouTube how to disconnect the seat switch, and somebody disconnected the seat switch on their mower. If they were hurt on their mower, then they have to own ownership of their part in doing it. Nobody twisted their arm. Nobody did any of that. All right? But indirectly would be if the guy's daughter got on the mower and got hurt. She didn't watch the YouTube video. But here's where it comes back. And I'm no lawyer. But if somebody gets hurt on a unit indirectly, good chances are the homeowner's the one's going to get sued. Good luck on trying to go after somebody on YouTube for telling you how to do it when you asked how to do it. So we all have to own ownership of what we decide to do in the long run. So if people are telling you things that, can put you in harm's way on YouTube, and then you decide to go ahead and do it anyways, that's on you. For you guys that are doing that on YouTube, I just would like to see you clean it up a little bit and be a little more safety, preach safety. But I'm not going to tell you can't do it. So on that note, you guys have a great Friday, and I'll catch you on Monday. Thanks so much for watching.